Good morning. This is Pastor Randall Neal at Zion Lutheran Church with our devotion for this day. Today's Tuesday, September 29th, 2020. Now, I've been involved in sports throughout most of my life. I've played them, I've watched them, I've coached them. And one of the things I've learned over the years and decades is each player doesn't always fully see or realize what position they should be playing. In football, for instance, it may be a kid dreaming of playing quarterback or another glamour position. But something I soon observed early in my athletic career is what the athlete thought he or she would like to be playing wasn't always the position he or she should be playing. You see, a truly great coach were the ones who had an eye for what position each player could play best. The young athlete or his or her parents might not agree with the coach, of course. Oftentimes that's the case. Too often the kids saw him or herself as being the star at some position that they really wanted because they thought that would be the glamorous one to have. But the truly great coaches could size up that athlete's capabilities and put him or her where they could make the biggest impact, and as a result, have the best success in that sport. Well, invariably over the years, the guys who thought the coach was wrong about the position he gave them, well, they'd often end up being all conference or all country in that sport because of the wisdom of the coach of knowing where that player, that kid, should be playing. Well, you know, my friends, I know a coach like that, a coach of life. And so do you. You see, if you belong to Jesus Christ, you know exactly where every one of his players, he knows exactly where every one of his players can play best, even if they think they should be playing somewhere else. That's actually what Jesus is trying to tell us in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, beginning at verse 7. Let me read it to you. To each one is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. In other words, if you know Jesus, he's gifted you for a position you're supposed to play. No exceptions. He goes on to say in this passage, even as the body is one and yet has many members, and all the members of the body, though they are many, are one body, so also is Christ. And then he goes on to point out that every part of the body, every function is needed or the rest of the body suffers. And then there's this bottom line in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 18. I like it. Listen to it. Here's the punchline. God has placed members, each one of them, in the body just as he desires. Or God, the head coach in my analogy this morning, has placed each player just exactly where he wants them on his team, playing the position he created for and gifted them for. And hello, you, my friends, are one of those team members. God's gifted you. Yeah, he has. I know many of you say, no, not me. I don't have any special, unique gifts. Wrong. God has gifted you. He's prepared you. He's wired you. He's destined you, assigned you to play the position he knows is best for you. For his cause, that is, for his church, and for the hurting and dying world. So maybe it's time you stop trying to get him to play you somewhere else. He knows what he's doing. You know, in many ways, it's actually an insult to your Lord to covet a position that someone else has, or to compare yourself to another player on his team, or to denigrate your position as being less important than others, or to tell him you can't play that position or you won't, or to sit on the sidelines, or to leave the game because you don't like your position, to refuse to play your position. You see, my friends, if you're doing that, you're depriving Team Jesus, and that's what we as Christians are. You're depriving Team Jesus of a contribution that they need, and a contribution only you can make, and that you were created for. I know that not because of who you are, but because of who Jesus is. Another section St. Paul wrote, Ephesians 2:10. It says what I say to each of my grandchildren the day they were born. I've got 7 grandkids, and this is what I said and thought, even though they may not fully understood it at the time. Ephesians 2:10. We are God's workmanship. Wait, let me make it personal. Let me make it about you that are listening here this day, my friends. You are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works He prepared in advance for you to do. Now, I think that's pretty exciting. That He produces spiritual champions because He knows where each player should play, including you. And remember, it's not the crowd that you're playing for or even for your other teammates. You play for the coach. He's the one you play to please. So come on. Put on your gear, take your position on the field, and play your God-given position with all your heart. May God give you a great day today, using your gifts and talents, taking full advantage of the opportunities He has for each of us. Until next time, thanks for watching.